Hello students, hope you are all watching the videos and making the best use of it. Students, go through the videos well as you have the facility to listen to it many number of times and prepare yourself well during the given time. So we move into the revision of the first chapter in Civics, the Union Parliament. Now this was done before the lockdown, so we shall revise those particular units and then I shall explain the other units in detail according to your present ICSE syllabus which is being prescribed. I believe that you all would remember the lesson that we have done before the lockdown. So what is a parliament? Also known as. The parliament is also known as the union legislature. The union parliament consists of the president and the two houses. What are the two houses? The two houses are Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Now, some of them mispronounce this Lok Sabha as Loka Sabha. It is Lok Sabha. So, let's make a difference see the differentiation between the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So, Lok Sabha is a Hindi version and Rajya Sabha, of course, it's also an Hindi version. What is the English version of it? Lok Sabha, the English version is House of the People, and Rajya Sabha, it is the Council of States. And the Lok Sabha is also called as the lower house, and the Rajya Sabha is called as the upper house. So the term of the Lok Sabha is 5 years and the term of Rajya Sabha is 6 years. While we have direct elections in Lok Sabha and indirect elections in Rajya Sabha. Now what do you mean by direct elections? We elect our representatives directly. So through the process of universal adult franchise, a citizen at the age of 18 and above 18 has got the right to vote without making any discrimination on the basis of caste, color, creed and so on. Indirect election, the representatives, those whom we have elected, elect the members of the Rajya Sabha. Now what are the other differences? Lok Sabha has got more number of members while the Rajya Sabha has got a smaller group, and that's why the Lok Sabha has got more weightage, more say, and the Rajya Sabha has got less weightage. Except during the emergency, the Rajya Sabha takes it up. That you will be studying in the later units. Money bill originates in Lok Sabha. The money bill, not only the money bill, but also the ordinary or non-money bill originates in Lok Sabha, and in Rajya Sabha, the ordinary or the non-money bill originates. When a vote of no confidence motion is passed in Lok Sabha, the entire ministry resigns. It is the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers resign together, except for the Speaker remains in the office until a new speaker is being elected. But this does not happen in Rajya Sabha because it is a permanent house. So 1/3 of its members retire after every 2 years. So when the Lok Sabha can be dissolved, the Rajya Sabha cannot be dissolved. So these are the differences between the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Now, what you exactly have to learn according to the present ICSE syllabus, that we shall do in unit wise. So, the term of the Lok Sabha, the composition, the qualification, under the parliamentary procedures, you're going to learn about the session, quorum, question hour, adjournment motion, vote of no confidence motion, and the election of the speaker. Under the Rajya Sabha, you will be studying the Rajya Sabha, indirect elections, that is the term of office, the composition of it, and the presiding officer. So all this you will be studying, and the other thing, the functions of the two houses. Under the functions of the two houses, you will be stressing on or laying emphasis on the control over the executive. And finally, we conclude the lesson with the exclusive powers of the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Thank you. Yes, Lok Sabha, as we studied, it's a house of the people, and we have direct election. Here the citizens of India, elect the representatives directly. And the procedure we follow here is universal adult franchise, and you all know the meaning of or definition of universal adult franchise. Now I want to tell you what is the criteria of holding Lok Sabha election. The criteria of holding Lok Sabha election has two aspects. The two are, one is the population and the area. Now, the more the population and wider and larger the area, we have more number of members representing from that particular state. Like for example, Uttar Pradesh has 80 members as representatives to the Lok Sabha, while Mizoram, Nagaland and Sikkim, the population is less and the area is less, so we have one from each. I hope you all remember the term of Lok Sabha. It is 5 years. Can it be extended? Yes. When can it be extended? During the period of emergency. It can be extended over a period of 1 year. Now, the new government has to be elected within 6 months after the emergency is lifted. Now, you're very familiar with the words like lockdown, lifted and all during this particular crisis. So the civics terminology is when something is implemented, like curfew is implemented. Now the curfew has to be lifted. You cannot say the curfew is removed. So the word used over here is lifted. So what is the term of Lok Sabha? It is 5 years. Can it be extended? Yes. So how many years can it be extended? 1 year. And when can it be extended? During the period of emergency. So within how many months of time the new government has to be formed? Within 6 months of time. The new government has to be formed as soon as the emergency is lifted. Now let us see the composition of the Lok Sabha. The total maximum members are 552. Not more than 530 are elected from the state. Not more than 20 are elected and represented from the union territory. And 2 are nominated. The word here to be used, the key word is nominated. You cannot use the word as elected. So 2 members are nominated by the president from the Anglo-Indian community if he feels, the conditional clause over there, if he feels that this community, which community? The Anglo-Indian community is inadequately represented. I'm sure you would have understood the composition. So what is the maximum members? 552. So how many are elected from the state? Not more than 530. So how many from the union territory? It is 20. And who nominates the Anglo-Indian from the Anglo-Indian community? It is the president. So this is 1 mark question, which always is repeated in the board examination. How many members can the president nominate from the Anglo-Indian community? So you're going to write it as 2 members if he feels that this community is inadequately represented. Well, fine. Now we move on to the qualification, what you had studied before. Now, He has to be a citizen of India, at least 25 years of age. His name has to be in the electoral list in some part of the country. He should not be an insolvent. He should not hold an office of profit. Office of profit means, what do you mean? He shall not be a minister and work in a government firm. He shall not be a proclaimed offender, and he has to be mentally sound. Yes, what is the qualification? I am sure you would have understood. So what is the age? At least 25. Can he hold an office of profit? No, he cannot hold an office of profit. And where should his name be? In the electoral list in some part of the country. Which country? India. Let's know about the parliamentary procedure. So the first one is the session. The President summons each house of the Parliament. Each house shall meet at least twice a year, and the interval between two sessions shall be less than 6 months. Normally, there are 3 sessions called as the budget session, the monsoon session, and the winter session. So you can remember the 3 sessions as BMW car. Well, a quick recap. Who summons the session? It is the President. How many times do they meet in a year? Twice. Now, with an interval of how many months? 6 months. Not shall be less than 6 months. Normally, how many sessions are there? 3. And name them: budget session, monsoon session, and winter session. The next procedure is quorum. What is quorum? The minimum number of members to be present to transact the business of the house. The key word over here is transact the business of the house. So it has to have minimum members to discuss anything. So how much is it? It is 1/10 of the total members. How much? 1/10 of the total members. Now, if there is no 1/10 or if there is no minimum members, now what happens? The house cannot pass the bills or conduct the proceedings or take up resolution without 1/10 of its member. So compulsory 1/10 of the members should be present in the house. So what happens if there is no 1/10? They cannot pass the bill, they cannot conduct proceedings or pass a resolution. What does the speaker do? The speaker can suspend and adjourn the meeting. So who suspends? It is the speaker. And who adjourns the meeting? It's once again the speaker. So why does the speaker do so? He does so because there are no minimum members to transact the business of the house. The next parliamentary procedure is the question hour. Normally, every day's session begins with a question hour. Otherwise, decided by the speaker. So the speaker can decide and tell them how to begin. And usually, it starts at 11 a.m. Now, what is the purpose of having this question hour? It is intended to keep the functioning of the government open to scrutiny by the members. And a member may ask questions from the government on the matters of public interest. The right to ask questions from the government is known as interpellation. So you have one part of over here which is called as interpellation. Now what is interpellation? It is a right to ask questions from the government is known as interpellation. So what do they discuss? What is it exactly discussing over here? The members may ask questions from the government on the matters of public interest. Now what is a great matter which is happening around here? all of have got and developed the fear. It is COVID-19. So the government is trying its best to solve this particular problem. So under this questionnaire, you have 3 types of question. So we shall revise the 3 types of question. One is the starred question, the other one the unstarred question, and the short notice question. Hope you all remember this. What do you mean by the starred question? It's an oral answer on the floor of the house. On the floor of your house means it is not on the floor of your house. It is the Lok Sabha. So it is oral answers which are given, and these particular answers are marked with asterisk, and the supplementary questions are asked. Now, what are supplementary questions? They are the sub-question, the main question, and along with that, it is a sub-question. So, like for example, the water has to be provided for everybody, but especially to the areas where there is water scarcity. Okay. Now, this is the main question. Now, what is the supplementary question? How much of water is going to be released per day to those particular areas in order to solve the problem? So, these are type of supplementary questions. And the next, you can also call it as a supportive to the main question. Now, what are unstarred questions? They are written questions, and there are no supplementary questions over here. It is a written record. It becomes authentic. Okay. So, these are called as the unstarred question. And you have another question over here, which is the short notice question, where these questions are posed during the urgent and important matters which suddenly crops up. Like for example, the bomb hawks, all of a sudden, nobody tells you and then does this particular criminal activity. So all of a sudden you get the news, and finally there is a short notice question. So the speaker adjourns what is being discussed over there and takes up this particular issue as an important matter. I am sure you would have understood the questionnaire. So you can expect a question of 2 marks from question R. Then the previous one, what you learned is the session and the quorum. The next, we move on to the adjournment motion. Let's see what is adjournment motion, another parliamentary procedure. It is to lay aside other business and take up important matters. Such motion leads to interruption of normal business of the House. Like for example, the railway accident, the natural calamity, floods, and now it is a COVID-19. Okay. Now they discuss the important matters which has to be done for the welfare of the people and the government matters. Along with that, they discuss about how to solve this particular problem which is cropped up, that is COVID-19. So, what do you mean by adjournment motion? To lay aside the other business and take up the important matters which is of great importance and concern. Let's look into the next procedure, the parliamentary procedure. No confidence motion. So this motion expresses the lack of confidence in the ministry. So the whole ministry is collectively responsible for their functions. Now, if a vote of no confidence motion is passed against the ministry, the entire ministry resigns. Remember, the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers together are responsible for Lok Sabha. So once a no confidence motion is passed by the opposition party, immediately they have to resign. So the entire ministry, including the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. Does the Speaker resign immediately or come out? No. He has to stay in the office until a new Speaker is being appointed. So even though the ministry resigns, the Speaker remains in the office until a new Speaker is being appointed. So this you have to remember. Now this has to be supported with 50 members. So the House grants leave to move the no confidence motion only when there is a support of 50 members. So that is a criteria. So 25 members or 10 members, they cannot pass the vote of no confidence motion. So how much is required? 50 members, and then only the vote of no confidence motion will be passed by the opposition, will be moved by the opposition against the ruling party. So the Prime Minister along with the Council of Ministers resign, and the Speaker remains in the office until a new Speaker is being appointed. So this particular responsibility is called as collective responsibility. So you can say they sail and sink in the same boat. They rise and fall like a single man. So each and every minister is responsible. So the Prime Minister in the party, the Prime Minister becomes a skipper of the team. He keeps his team intact. Now we shall see about the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. He is the presiding officer of Lok Sabha and conducts business of the House. He occupies a position of great authority and responsibility. He maintains the discipline of the House, and he ranks higher than all the other cabinet ministers. And he is not answerable to anyone except the House. So he is the presiding officer of Lok Sabha. Who is the presiding officer? It is the Speaker. And he conducts the business of the House and occupies the greater position, authority and responsibility. He maintains the decorum of the House, or he maintains the discipline of the House. Now, if an unparliamentary word is used in order to hurt the feeling of the other members, he can expunge those particular words. And he ranks higher than all the other cabinet minister, and the Speaker is not answerable to anyone except the House. Which House? The Lok Sabha. And you all know who is the present Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Yes, students, who is the present Speaker of the Lok Sabha? It is Om Birla. And who's the present Speaker of the in Karnataka? It is Vishweshwar Hegde. Okay, let's go into the elections of the Speaker. The Speaker is elected amongst its own members after the general election. After the general election, as soon as the newly elected members meet for the first time. Can the Speaker resign? Yes, he can resign. When can he resign? Due to his ill health, he can submit a letter to the Deputy Speaker. So along with the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker is also appointed. One point you have to remember over here is when a vote of no confidence motion is being passed against a ministry due to lack of confidence, the entire ministry resigns with the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, and except the Speaker does not come out of his office or does not resign. He remains in the office until a new Speaker is being appointed. Well, fine students, these are the things that comes under the Unit 1. And I'm sure that you would have understood all the things that we revised in Unit 1. Let us know what we have revised. We have revised the term of the Lok Sabha, the composition, the qualification, the parliamentary procedures. Under that, we learnt about session, quorum, questionnaire, adjournment motion, no confidence motion. And we learnt about the election of the Speaker. Now, a few questions to test you. What is the term of office of the Lok Sabha? 5 years. Can it be extended? Yes. How many years? 1 year. And when can it be extended? During the emergency. So as soon as the emergency is lifted, within 6 months of time, the new government has to be formed. So what is the composition? What's the maximum number of members? 552. So how many are nominated by the president, and from where? 2 members from the Anglo-Indian community. And what is the conditional clause over there? If the president feels that this community is inadequately represented. So what are the qualifications? We'll stress only on the age. He has to be at least 25 years of age. Other qualification you will be knowing. So how many sessions are there? There are 3 sessions. What are the 3 sessions? Budget, monsoon and winter. How many times do they meet in a year? The houses meet at least twice in a year. What is quorum? Minimum number of members to be present to transact the business of the house. So what is it? How much is it? 1/10 of its members. Well, when does the question hour begin? Every day's session begins with a question hour or depending upon the speaker. What are the 3 types of questions? The starred, the unstarred and the short notice question. When can a speaker adjourn the house? The speaker can adjourn the house when there is some important matters which crops up. What do you mean by no confidence motion? Lack of confidence. What happens to the ministry when a vote of no confidence motion is being passed? The entire ministry resigns. And who passes this? The opposition party. How is the Speaker of the House elected? He is elected among the members of the Lok Sabha. As soon as they meet for the first time, they elect the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. So, when a Speaker has to resign, to whom does he give the letter to? He gives the letter to the Deputy Speaker. Well, fine. This is your Unit 1.